Okay.
DNS over HTTPS or indeed DNS over TLS. If we're getting picky, right? Or even quick. Various different ways of doing it. Yes, but you could absolutely prevent that from happening.
Thank you, Ali. Please confirm when you can see my screen.
The crazy part, one of my customers said, Gary, why am I seeing in the logs that you guys are blocking all the
You can see your screen.
Okay.
Also, I am hearing a little sound from, I guess, is the speaker, but I don't know how you can manage it.
Yeah, you should not hear it anymore. I just needed to stay on that call because of my
CP.
CPD.
All right. I can't hear you again. So if you can just
Yeah,
expand your screen.
I've reduced. I've put it on mute, basically. Yeah, thank you. On last Saturday, we started looking at sorry, let me just start from the beginning. Yeah, so last week Saturday, we started looking at Defender, at Sentinel. And I did mention that the starting from Saturday, next 4 classes are going to be focused on Sentinel. So we look at Sentinel on Saturday and we looked at how to sign up for Sentinel. And if there is anything I believe we should take out of last week meeting, especially with respect to the exam, for people who are interested in the exam, is that Sentinel is an add-on to log analytics. Sentinel, before you can sign up for Sentinel, you must have a log analytics workspace in place. If you don't have that, obviously may not be able to, you won't be able to sign up for Sentinel. Just to mention that basically as the general rule, and it is also possible for you to connect Sentinel to XDR, and the implication of that is rather than traveling around from XDR into Azure to look for Sentinel events or to access Sentinel, it makes it easy for you to actually access Sentinel data directly from within the XDR. And I think the last thing we did on Saturday, after we have already set up the Sentinel, after we've set up the log analytics and enable Sentinel, was for us to connect Sentinel to XDR. And as you can see, initially you'll notice that we didn't have Sentinel in this space. Sentinel became available after we have enabled the integration. And this is just to tell you that majority of, XDR is, Microsoft XDR is living its dream of actually having a unified view of all of your security incidents within your architecture and your landscape, IT landscape, basically. So today we shift our attention onto Sentinel configuration. And I think I'll be jumping a little between, maybe for the initial part, I'll be jumping a little between the XDR and the Azure. And the reason why I'll be joining is just to show you mostly what we'll probably travel into Azure to go and do there. it's also possible for us to get everything done in Defender XDR without the need to actually move around. I think for some of Microsoft products, for us to do configuration, if you remember things around purview, information protection, the DLP, we had to go into purview for us to actually access the configuration. So Microsoft makes the integration with Sentinel very easy, making it possible for us to actually do the for us to do the configuration of Sentinel right from within the XDR portal. Um, so that said, we'll quickly cover, but I'll sign a caveat that I'm not going to dwell so much on reading much of Microsoft guide for us today to align, to align our learning. And the reason why I'm taking that approach is just to ensure that we have enough time basically to do everything that we need to cover today. And maybe the areas that we're not able to cover, then that will probably be the area that I'll give us assignments on Saturday against next week Thursday. So let's begin. Um, yeah, so we've already spoken about setting up Sentinel. We've spoken about integrating Sentinel to with XDR. So the next question is, we've already established Sentinel as being Microsoft offering in the space of SIM and SOAR. And I said so because if you are able to add maybe if you are able to add a logic app to Sentinel, you are actually able to convert Sentinel into SOAR. You are able to automate responses. You are able to create some run books, create alerting, and also able to orchestrate actions based on leveraging the Azure Logic app basically. Okay, maybe I'll pick that with Usman later. I was going to find out if Usman was able to find the documentation on how to make use of Power Automate, just in case if that's a possibility now also. Okay, so let's get to it. Yeah, so for our Sentinel by itself is meaningless if you can't get data to it. And most of the most of security operations center problem always start from data. If you have a solution and if the solution is not armed with looking at the critical sources where you should put your priority, basically you know that it's not going to be effective. A lot of time when attackers target an organization, they can be in that organization. They are not ready to compromise end user system because they know that if what they are targeting is just one maybe customer service a laptop or maybe your front desk laptop, possibly yes, they can still do a damage if those individuals have access to some sensitive data. But one thing is certain, those individuals are not, that's not where the jewel of the kingdom is. The jewel of the kingdom is actually the backbone, the infrastructure controlling assets within your perimeter. Those are the things that attackers always target because they know that they are more valued by the organization, and if it's compromised, they will get attention from the organization, maybe in terms of monetary gain through extortion or ransom, or possibly maybe gain attention even by the publication of the data breach, or maybe the breach itself. So basically, for an organization who is focusing on implementing a SIM for monitoring, and also maybe as part of the strategy for cyber resilience and incident response, it is very, very necessary for such an organization to consider their critical assets, to know the logs of activities of those assets, and to ensure that those logs are integrated into SIM. They are forwarded into SIM for safekeep, and also for for safekeep and also for other use like analytics and maybe incident response, like in case of SOA, orchestration, automation and response, like we discussed on Saturday, basically. So for a Sentinel also requires that you forward your log from different sources into Sentinel for it to be able to do what it's meant to do. Now, for Sentinel to receive log, you need to establish some connection between the system you are trying to protect and also collect log from, and Sentinel. A lot of time, Sentinel provide data connector out of the box for some of those for most of the systems that you can think of. So basically, those connectors are usually built into what is known as a content hub. And for most of Microsoft's own services, maybe things like Microsoft 365, Azure services, or even some specific third-party applications, you have an out-of-the-box configuration for them. And for those who were in the last class on Saturday, we did mention also that it's also possible that there are standards for threat intelligence exchange. I did mention about taxis. About taxi. I did mention about sticks, and I did mention about the CEF. There are so many other threat intelligence sharing protocol, but what is mostly implemented by most vendor is the CEF. So we'll also get to that, and also to see how we can integrate maybe third-party vendors application that don't have a default data connector in Sentinel, how you can integrate them also. And it's also possible for you to also integrate maybe through syslog as well, maybe for people who are using Linux, and you can obviously expect Microsoft to support integration so that Windows servers can also forward their log sources. There is an interactive lab from Microsoft. I'm not going to spend time because I'm hoping that we'll try to maximize time today and also be able to close as early as possible. But if you have a free time, you can just walk around this Microsoft lab. I think what you have here is just it gives you an overview and a walkthrough of what the Sentinel interface looks like, and also the different data connection point for people who are interested in learning. So I'm going to just go to the next page. Yeah, so in injecting data, like I mentioned, if you need to install anything, if you need to connect any system, your starting point is first checking if there is a connector for that service within the content hub. If there is a connector for it within the content hub, then it is easy. You can easily select or install the connector from the contents of to start your integration process. You need to understand what the data connector providers are. For information, if you are interested in integrating Defender XDR, we know that Defender XDR by itself has an integration of so many other Defender products. You have the defender for endpoint, you have the defender for identity, you have the defender for office, you have the defender for cloud apps. I think we only spoke about cloud apps briefly when we started the program. That's still different from defender for cloud. Defender for cloud apps is mostly focusing on it's almost it's not entirely part of endpoints, but it's actually share an architecture with endpoints. So if you have endpoints deployed and you are using cloud app as well, one of the things that it does for you is actually be able to look at the different sites that your users are using and some of the vulnerabilities in the applications that they are using and some concern that you may have as well. It pick all of those details and it also presents it to you. And you can also create a policy to bar. Currently, a lot of organizations are using Microsoft Copilot, and it is currently not governed. A lot of times, when you look at policies that organizations have set, like, oh, with Copilot, okay, use this thing, but you are not allowed to enter maybe the company sensitive information into any AI, I mean private information or maybe PII information. You should not enter it into AI platform. So when they enter it eventually into AI platform, how will you know? So cloud apps in a way actually has an integration for people that are using maybe things like a Copilot, and it can actually see prompts that people use. So if your organization is using Copilot, for instance, and you want to also safely see what people are entering and also be able to look at the data, maybe for governance, to ensure that the organization is not being exposed to risks by people volunteering sensitive and private information the into the platform. Cloud app can be your go-to basically to help you. And it can also help you with a lot of maybe add-ins that people have on their browser that can also expose your organization. So that said, Defender for XDR already has so many data points. So integrating or connecting Defender XDR with Sentinel actually ensures that all of the information, the alerts, the incidents that you get in XDR can be shared directly with a Microsoft Sentinel. And you also have a lot of interesting things going on in Azure. For a lot of organizations in their modernization journey, you see that a lot of them are actually using Microsoft Azure services to to run their production workload. So basically, connecting Azure services also to Sentinel actually give you view and log of activities of everyone. If there are incidents or even if there are ongoing issues, Sentinel can quickly pick those up if you have maybe detections already configured. And it can also spot you when you are having maybe some other things. You see under Azure services, you see some other security solution like DDoS protection. You see things like web application firewall. You see things like domain name server. And I think incidentally, I was in a session just now where they are talking about DNS security, not DNSSEC, but DNS security basically. So it's some threat that you can detect through some of these solutions. All of them can benefit. And the implication, if you look at all of the things you are bringing already into Sentinel, it's already giving you a single source of truth for all activities so that your detection efforts can be focused maybe on an area. And you also have some provider. I mean, you can see Microsoft Sentinel provides ever-growing list of vendor-specific data connector, but some of them, they mostly use either a CEF or a syslog connector at their foundation. But even if you don't have it as the beginning, I think if they support maybe syslog or CEF, you're still able to bring all of those basically. And you can also use the data analytics data connector API to send information directly into what's it called, into the Sentinel log analytic workspace. You can also output using Microsoft Sentinel output plugin for Logstash data collection engine. You can send any log you want through Logstash directly to your log analytics if you're also using Logstash. And for no vendor provided connector, if they use the generic CEF or syslog connector, you can use those as well. And in terms of, I think for people who are interested, and I think it may be just for academic exercise, you can look at maybe cyber threats intelligence sharing protocol, just to familiarize yourself with this cyber threat intelligence sharing protocol basically. So if you look at I mean there are many what is it called, CTI I think I spoke about steez and taxi, but you have many ones, and you can also gain for the ones that are not directly supported. If there is a way for you to do a conversion to maybe CEF as well, you also have that option. I can help you understand it. If your organization tends to be using some systems that do not allow that do not provide that are not sharing information in CEF format, which stand for the common event format. um so this is the CEF information basically. The CEF typically use your syslog of UDP TCP port 514 to submit information to log daemon, um to submit information then for syslog, into which Azure Monitor Agent AMA can pick up, and also then forward into just Azure Monitor Agent will always have an outbound of 443 from wherever system you have it installed. When you have it installed, it picks information, use itself as a syslog, and then pick that information and inject it into Sentinel. But what this means is you must have a connection to the internet from wherever system that need to do this. And if you have what's it called, if you are coming from a perimeter where your applications do not where your applications do not support what's it called, do not where your application and servers do not have direct internet connections, you may also look at maybe designating a particular system as for AMA, grant that system access to the Azure services over 443, and then allow other system to point to that system. And that's basically what you have in this environment. The second view that you have in this scenario, where you have CEF sources coming from different systems, and you have an Azure Monitor Agent installed, information forwarded to them, and then forwarded out to Azure Sentinel. View connected host. So the data connection page shows the connector that are installed and can be filtered to show the particular one. So if you have what you have installed and you basically just want to see, a lot of time, if I want to approach maybe a SIM implementation, for instance, you always want to start from the point of knowing all of your assets, knowing what is critical, and prioritizing. You're going to cover your strategy may involve just covering the whole of your estate, just for you to, the more sources you cover, the better chance you stand a bit. I mean, the more chance you stand actually to detect maybe anomaly or issues before they actually escalate and be able to name them in the board. So basically, you may be interested in looking at maybe services that you already have set up. You can always do that by just going to into the workspace and looking at the agent to see the what's it called, log analytics setting, and looking at the agent area for you to see agents where you have them installed. Where can you see the number of connected Windows hosts on the CF connector page on the agents page in log analytics? I mean, this is just an exercise. I think we can do it. So the first question says, where can you see the number of connected window hosts? Is it on the CEF connector page? Is it on the agent page in log analytics or on the data connector page? You can put a question on I mean, you can put your response on the chat and you can unmute to speak as well. Are we all on the call? I think that was the last thing
That's on the data connector page.
Data. Sorry?
Be on the agent page in log analytics.
On the agent page, do we have other supporter of B or C? I am inclined to go with Usman. I think that was the last thing I even mentioned, which is in the log analytics, what's it called? We on the agent page will be able to see that. Which connector provides the log data in an unpassed field? I actually didn't take note of that myself, but definitely not an Entra ID. Which connector provides the log data in an unpassed field? Any thoughts?
It should be syslog.
Syslog.
Why did you say so? What's your reason?
That is coming raw from
And syslog
Linux.
normally provide raw data. I think so.
I tend to believe that it is CEF, and I believe that it is CEF because of my previous knowledge about the STI protocol, but not particularly within this course. I know that for CEF, it does not try to pass. It just have a particular structure for forwarding all of the logs, and that is what makes the CEF actually unique. So each system can receive that serialized data and then be able to format it the way they want, basically. I think that's one of the uniqueness of CEF. I believe it is CEF, but I'm going to go with your option of syslog for now. So the vendor provided connectors primarily use which of the following? The vendor provided connector primarily use which of the following? Azure Activity Connector, Security Event Connector, and CEF Connector. Any thoughts?
That should be the common event format this year.
Azure, I think Azure goes for me. Yes. Azure.
Yeah, I believe it's CEF. We also saw earlier that what's it called? I think it's specifically called out, and I think I mentioned it as well, that for a vendor provided connector, that they are generally built on the CEF connector. What Microsoft has done is just to pass the serialized data that they being forwarded using the CEF into some format that just make it easier for you to actually read. So I believe it's CEF connector, but you can show the response. Okay, you got what's it called? You got syslog, so good one on that. And then I think for the CEF, I think I seem to be correct. And okay. And if you look at I think vendor, yeah, it's actually said that Microsoft Sentinel provides ever-growing list of vendor specific data connector. This connector primarily use the CEF and syslog as their foundation, basically. So there was nothing even in there that speaks about what is it called? Yeah, that speaks about Azure Activity Connector or Security Event Connector. I think they are just distractors. Okay, so that's basically the foundation for connectors. The next one talks about connect Microsoft services, and today we're actually going to cover how to bring data logs from Microsoft services into Sentinel, how to bring data from Defender XDR into Sentinel, and how to connect Microsoft Window host into Sentinel. Just to mention, I just before, I think some maybe an hour or so before this program started, I actually came to Sentinel to do some things, and then I noticed that my Azure trial has been suspended. So I believe for all of you that probably sign up, maybe the day that I sign up for Azure subscription, yours may have been, yours may also have ended. So your subscription may be in disabled state. So basically for me, I needed to actually convert my subscription to paid subscription. And that Microsoft needed to look at my, what is it called? Try to, what do they I think I've forgotten the technical name that they always use. It's more like let me see if I can quickly check it. Yeah, card verification. Did another card verification for me, and you probably see that the status is back to active. So if you try to follow some of these class events, or perhaps you can just go on that subscription and check the status of your subscription. If your subscription says disabled, you can just click on these three dots, and then you will see something like reactivate. So you can reactivate, and then it will give you prompt to say that you should convert it back to you need to upgrade it to a paid subscription, and which you can do. I've upgraded my own to paid subscription. So, but what I did immediately for all of those services that we've signed up for earlier, I removed all of them just to ensure that I don't incur much cost. Basically, all of those VM that we created earlier and everything, I've deleted them. The only thing I left is the log analytic workspace and Sentinel. And I think the Sentinel and log analytic workspace are currently on trial, meaning that I should not be billed for this. But hopefully, when we finish next week, I shouldn't have incurred too much money as well if I incurred anything. So just to let you know, if you notice that you are not able to follow this course, It could be because that your subscription has been suspended. You may need to reactivate it, and also to ensure that you don't incur additional costs, just delete everything that you don't need and leave just your log analytic workspace. Basically, that's the only thing I've left. And also because you may not see Defender for Cloud here as well, you may need to go into Defender for Cloud and also just let it load up, and also stop all of the subscriptions. I mean, all of the things that we turned on, automatic onboarding, you need to turn all of those off, and then turn off the Defender CSPM as well. So you just need to go into management, environmental settings. Let it load. And you should be able to see your tenant here, your subscription. From your subscription, I'm probably just going to stay at this subscription level. You can click on here, click on edit setting, and I just want to do this just to help you avoid unnecessary billing if you are reactivating your environment, as I believe that some of us are working from Nigeria, even getting what's it called, even getting FX to pick can even be a pain on its own. Okay, so if you see that the what's it called, Defender CSPM foundation is free, but Defender's CSPM is basically off. If you turn it on, you have a setting here that says coverage. Just click on that setting somewhere here and turn everything there off. Save it. When you are done saving it, turn off all of this one and then turn this one off and save. So basically, if you are able to do this, that you should avoid maybe you should escape being billed by Microsoft. I hope what I said is clear. Hello?
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, how do we connect the various services, Microsoft services, to Microsoft services to Sentinel? The first thing is actually to plan for the service connector themselves. One thing that you need to be aware of, like I mentioned, from the content of, you are able to actually install any data connector that you are interested in. And here, if you if you enable the mic and install maybe Microsoft 365 connector, the configuration allow you to get information about Exchange, SharePoint, and Teams. A lot of time when you're looking at, for people who are investigating things like the business email compromise, if you want to track maybe changes to user mailbox and all of those things, if you don't pull information about Exchange, it might be difficult for you to actually see the underlying issues that you are trying to resolve. And I don't think Defender for Office is going to pick that for you. Defender for Office will actually just look at maybe threads that are coming from outside and pick that, but will not pick an insider or maybe configuration changes issue that could have led even to some internal BEC basically. So you need to fetch Exchange information in places where you are using SharePoint. for data storage as well. You need to include data storage, and in places where people can actually use Teams as an entry to so many things nowadays, even into SharePoint as well. So you need to manage that basically. And the information that is collected about Microsoft 365 connector are always saved in Office activity table. So for Microsoft Entra ID, if you collect it, the Entra ID logs are usually, the logs of interest from Entra has so many logs. The log of interest for Entra is usually with sign-on log or the audit log. So then you have the Microsoft Entra ID protection. I think we spoke about Microsoft Entra ID protection also earlier. We spoke about Microsoft Entra ID protection also earlier. And also we talked about different things that Microsoft Entra ID protection can do for you, like the conditional access, which you can actually use to monitor things like the devices people are coming from or accessing your information from. Are they coming from anonymous IP or maybe a user agent? Are they in, there are so many risky activities that conditional access, change with risky signing as well and risky policies. It's possible for you to do so many things with ID protection. And when issues are identified, ID protection can also generate alerts. So basically, if you want to also incorporate risky, ID protection kind of issues, data also into the Sentinel as well. You can do that integration, and the ID protection alerts are usually saved in security alert table. If you And this is also important for people who are interested in the exam. For Microsoft 365 connector, it is saved in Office activity table. For Entra ID, there are two options of tables that those can be brought into: sign in log, audit log. For Entra ID protection, you have the security alert table. And now connect Microsoft 365 connector. I'm trying to look at time. To connect Microsoft, I actually did this earlier, but I backed it out just to make it easier for us when we're having this conversation. I mentioned earlier that any data connector that you want to install, you'll probably start your data connection installation from the Content Hub. But out of the box, Microsoft already actually enabled some data connectors. So let's even look at there to see. I know that Microsoft 365 is not there, but let's even see some of the data connectors that are enabled out of the box and ready for your use. And you can also see the state of those connectors. If you look at, okay, I thought I actually removed Microsoft 365. Okay, it's been removed. If you look at here, you see that you already have connector activated for Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft Defender XDR, Defender for Office, Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud Apps, and 365 Insider Risks Preview. This connector that says Microsoft 365 was here, but if you look at it in terms of whether it's connected or not, it's currently installed, but it is not connected, and that's the reason why it's showing this gray bar. You notice that everything else is connected, but this one is actually not connected. And one thing I'll first say, if you go into Content Hub, you can always search for any connector that you have interest in. And you can see that currently it says 0 installed and it says 309 standalone. And you can already begin to see that some of these connectors are actually non-Microsoft. If you look at AWS, for instance, if you are interested in forwarding logs from your AWS basically into your Sentinel, you can do it. And you see that there are several buckets that you can actually, there are different event logs that you can bring from your AWS and bring them into Sentinel. You can also see Cisco Umbrella. Cisco Umbrella is more of what's it called? It's more of the complete security solution from Cisco, basically. For people who are using Cisco for their security solution, but you choose to use Sentinel as your SIM, you basically can forward events from Cisco Umbrella. You see, for people that are using GCP for their cloud infrastructure, and basically, if you look down, I'm not sure if it's possible to sort by, yep, I think it's possible to sort by provider. Basically, you can see so many things, and then you can see many vendors as well. I always love on the page to, okay, this is, I mean, so you can see there are many vendors that are supported. You see Zero Fox. I think some of these I've never even heard before. I know about Workday. I know about Zendesk. I know about VMware vCenter. For people that are using virtualization, I know about the VMware EXSI Carbon, and you even see that it complements some of other security vendor solution as well. For instance, the Carbon Black is actually, I think, an EDR. It's an endpoint detection and response solution, basically from VMware. And also, if you have it in use, you can bring them. You see, also it's possible to bring information again from a virus total also into this place. You have Veronix and you have many other vendors that are supported. And for the vendors that are not supported, you can always use your CEF if needed. So for our focus, our interest is actually in Microsoft 365, and I'm just going to search for that. So we have Microsoft 365. There are also other things that got displayed because they either have some of the keywords that I am searching for at the moment. But basically the interest is for us to install Microsoft 365. And having selected this, you see that the option to install, sorry, I'm not installing everything. The option to install became available, install or update. And if you look at this side also, you see that I can install or update. I'm just going to come here and click on install. Yeah, so once the installation is ongoing, and if you look at the top here, you see basically I said that maybe some hours ago that I already installed this Microsoft 365, for instance, but I deleted it basically just for me to be able to show you the installation process on this call. And yeah, it is now installed. Basically, you see the option of manage and you see the option of action to reinstall it or to delete it. I'm not sure what case it will be. In what case I'll probably want to reinstall. But if I don't need the connector again, or maybe I'm not using the service again, and you just want to remove it from what's it called? You just want to remove the connector. You can just come here to delete it basically. And if you click on manage, this will do the same thing as actually going to the data connector page where I can edit. where I can edit, and you can see the different rules also that you can configure. Some of them are currently disabled. You can enable them. Some of the things that rules and Microsoft out of the box, and that's one of the beauty for I mean the connectors that they have. For the connectors that they have, there are some use cases or maybe some alerting that they have already created a template for you. For instance, if you look at if you see maybe you're looking at Exchange email and you see PowerShell or non-browser mail query activity, that is one of the rules that Microsoft already created for you. So if I have an issue and I'm trying to do something, I can look at it. If I already have a template to run, I can select the template and run the query. Basically, oh, sorry, and run the query rather than having to start from, I mean, rather than having to start afresh. Sorry, let me go back to Sentinel. I'm not sure if it's my system that is slow, my internet, or why it takes forever today. Okay, my internet is saying it is fast, but everything else it's saying it is slow. Okay, while this is opening, if you, I'm not sure if you have looked at the structure of Sentinel from within the Azure portal. If you look at it, you see general, you have threat management, and then you see the content management and configuration. And if you look within the XDR, you can see threat management, content management, and configuration. The only thing that is missing is general, but we have search from general basically. And that in a way actually makes sense because you already have incident hunting at threat intelligence, basically at the top section of what's it called? Sorry. You have threat intelligence, and then you have incident alerting and hunting, basically already as the major component of XDR. So those components are already infused into this top three, and that is why you don't have need for repetition of what you have under the general. And basically what I was going to is this data connector here, and the same thing, I can actually just go into configuration and go to data connector as well. Let's just see whichever one open first. Okay, in the data connector, as you can see, 7 are connected. Which are these last 7? Microsoft 365 is currently not connected, and I'm just going to select that, and I can go ahead and open connection page for Microsoft 365. For Microsoft 365. Now, you can look at basically what information is collected from here under description. And if you look at it, you see Microsoft 365 activity logs. Connector provides insights into ongoing user activities. You get details of operations such as file download, access request sent, changes to group events, set mailbox, details of users who perform the action basically. By connecting these, by connecting Microsoft 365 logs into Microsoft Sentinel, you can use this data to view dashboard, create custom alerts, and improve your investigation process. So basically, doing this gives you visibility into admin events that happen around Microsoft 365, including Exchange, including SharePoint, including Team. If your organization is using Slack instead of Team, for instance, you may not need to select it. You just need to select whatever is appropriate to your organization, basically, and you can apply changes. So this is successful. If you go back to the previous tab here, where this is showing as not connected, I think if you refresh and just wait a few minutes, then we should see it as connected. And once it shows as connected, you see that this one is also green out, showing you that everything is connected. And as it shows as connected, the implication of that is that activities within Exchange Online, if for instance as admin, I go to maybe admin.exchange, for instance, to make maybe some changes, those activity can be tracked. A lot of the time when accounts get compromised in an organization, what the attacker always go for, maybe like I said, the jewel of your network. For instance, your CEO mailbox may be a jewel. And this information is usually required, especially when people are this information is usually very, very needed, especially when you are troubleshooting issues like finding who did what, basically, without you having to travel everywhere. And also, one other thing you also need to note, out of the box, Microsoft only keep data for 30 days. So if you want your log to persist beyond 30 days, I recall there was something that happened, I think maybe last year. We noticed that someone created an account. We have a user in an organization, and in that organization also, we just noticed that someone created another account. I think they were even trying to do maybe more like I don't know what they were reporting, and they noted that there are 2 duplicate accounts and only few admin, and they check all of the admin who did what. Everybody said no, they did not do it, and they all trust each other. And the question was, who did it? Okay, let's check the logs. They went into the log to actually find who did it, and unfortunately, they couldn't find it. And it was, the account has been created for more than 30 days, so they could not see which user did it. We went into unified audit log. In unified audit log, that's in compliance in Purview Portal, and we were actually able to see that the account was created by substrate management, and substrate management shows that that account was created on Exchange, through Exchange, but we could not see the user that initiated the activity on Exchange. And because they were not keeping log, there's no way we could also identified the issue, and even Microsoft could not identify the issue for them. So, I mean, tracing issues like that basically require you keeping some form of logs, and that's basically what this is all about. Now, I think I created some of these user earlier. Why is this? I created some of these users earlier when I needed to grant access to the different groups. So I'm just going to pick one of the group B, for instance, and I'm going to indicate grant someone access. I'm just going to grant someone else access. So what I'm doing now is these users, I'm granting them access as full administrator. I'm giving them full access. You see, full access, read and manage to this user's mailbox. The implication is these two users have granted access here can actually see every email that is coming here. If you look at the CIA triad, confidentiality has been breached by this. So we expect it to be picked up in Sentinel. We expect it to be picked up in Sentinel, and it can take maybe few. Well, down. So we expect it to be picked up in Sentinel. So we're just going to give it few minutes, and then we'll try to see if anything actually comes up. And recall, the changes I made relates to Exchange. Exchange normally is part of a Microsoft 365. If at all that event gets created in Sentinel, which table am I supposed to be looking at? Who knows? Which table am I supposed to be looking at? Who wants to try? I think we talked about it, and I did mention
Please, the
that.
question again.
Sorry?
Please repeat the question, please.
Okay, I made changes just now, right? And the change that I made, I granted someone access to another user's database, I mean, a mailbox. I granted test user 1 and test user 2 access to group B mailbox. Now, I'm saying that this activity is on Exchange, and Exchange is part of Microsoft 365. You know, in Sentinel, you will have different tables, right? So I'm saying that if
No,
this
office alerts.
exactly, that's what I was looking at, office alert. So if I want to see, if I want to check when this happened, basically I will expect that office alert, office alert table should be present in, sorry, that should be under hunting. Office alert table should be present in the Sentinel table for me to be able to see that event. So until office alert is present, I won't be able to see anything. The only one currently available is still this, so we're just going to give it some time, and then we'll be able to check. So yeah, so we just give it some time. Let's see when it forward the event, and yeah, let's see. So I think that is that on that. Let me see. Yeah, we've just connected Microsoft Sentinel. The other one is for us to configure connect Defender XDR as well. The same process, the same pattern. I think we did the first one using Microsoft. We did the first one using Azure. So I'm just going to complete the second task using the XDR just to show that it can actually be completed from anywhere. Now, if you look at here, we only could see Microsoft 365. It's not even showing as connected here yet. So I'm just going to refresh. to see if it starts showing. I'll quickly complete this one that I want to show, and then we can take some break. Okay, so I think things takes a little time before it's actually pick up. You see here it's still showing Microsoft 365 as disconnected. Meanwhile, if we check within Sentinel and we go to data connector, it's already showing as connected. So that means things are skewed. Okay, so if I go to data connector, I can see what I can see, obviously. But if I go into content hub, and actually this is also one of the benefits of actually connecting XDR, because it's actually allow two-way sharing of data between the XDR and the Sentinel itself. So basically, I'm just going to Microsoft XDR. Yeah, and you can see it's showing Microsoft Defender XDR. I just have that selected, unable to get package. Okay, I just click on XDR and you see that it show install or updates. I click on install and currently it's installing in progress. You see the same, other than the difference in the UI, it's the same approach. You go into the content hub, you select the connector, then you install basically. And if you look up here, you can actually see the status. Currently, it is still in progress, trying to install. And I know also that because XDR is actually cannot do the installation by itself, it actually has to proxy back into Azure. Basically, this might also resolve the what's it called? The discrepancies we have between the XDR currently and the Sentinel. So while this is installing, I'm not sure how long it's going to take, how many minutes. Yeah, it's done actually. I think I'm just going to pause here first, and when we come back from break, we can continue. I think we can have a 5-minute break, Wally. Thank you. Welcome back from our short break. I think I gave us 2 minutes extra, so that makes it 7 minutes. Yes, so basically now we have Microsoft Defender XDR install, and like the options we add also from Sentinel, we can reinstall it, we can delete it, and we can click on manage basically to also configure. And I'm not sure if it's my system, but I just feel like things are a little slow today. And you see that it's still trying to get details. It's still trying to get details, so I'm just going to head over into Sentinel. So this was initially it. So it should now be what's it called? Okay. So I'm just going to go to connector page. And you can see it's just going to ask you for different things that you want to bring in. You see event from Defender for Windows. If you are interested in it, you see event from Defender for Office, Cloud App. Those are the tables of security events that you see present in Defender XDR. And basically, I've just applied them. So if you have any components of XDR enabled, you can apply them, and you can see that everything is green currently. And also you can see a lot of time before you even start spending time to configure, if you are not properly licensed, if you are not properly licensed, or maybe you don't have permission, basically it will let you know. You can see that the workspace read write access is needed to the log analytics being used by Sentinel. This green mark shows that I have access to it. If you look at it also, connector access, if I have proper permission to read from the connector, I mean from the what is it called, solution that I'm trying to connect to as well, you see it. And tenant permission as well. Do I have enough access to actually make this configuration on the workspace tenant? Global admin or security admin is required for someone to do this. So if I don't have, if the account I used to log on does not have appropriate permission as well, you probably see something like X here in red indicating that there is an issue, but currently everything checks out, and that is why it is green. So most time if you make a change, you try to apply and it doesn't work, you may also want to check here basically for you to see if the what's it called, for you to see if you have appropriate permission to do it or not. And one interesting things also, you see, use Microsoft Defender for identities to sync user entities from your on-premise Active Directory. I think we've covered this earlier when we are talking about XDR and then the identity. And I mentioned that for people who have on-premise Active Directory, you can install the identity sync agent onto your maybe Active Directory for you to be able to gather information about users' activity, and you can use that for user behavioral analytics as well. And if you have that in place, you can also go to this page to actually configure user behavioral analytics. But I think for the purpose of this demo, because you don't have Active Directory setup, so we're not going to get that. But again, you can turn it on, you can enable for Active Directory, and you can click on this. But again, I just did it for academic exercise. For Active Directory, we don't have any Active Directory, so this will not work. Okay. Yeah, so that is it on connecting Microsoft XDR. I think just for the benefit of people who are interested in the exam, we can go through the contents. I think we've done for Defender for XDR, but you see that there is also an option to do for Defender for Cloud, Defender for IoT for those people that have it, and Defender for Defender Legacy Connector. So for those individuals who are interested in covering the course, you also have to look at the Defender for Cloud for IoT, because the expectation is for you to use that. Since I've already covered for Defender for XDR. I mean Defender XDR. So I'm not just going to talk about it again. If you're going to do for Defender for cloud as well, you see that the option is also the same. For you to go to the data connector page, install Defender for cloud connector, and then you can go to you can open the connector, connect, and you can click on bidirectional sync option. Basically, you can open the connector and click on the bidirectional sync option for you to share information between Defender for cloud as well and Microsoft Sentinel. For people who are interested in IoT, you see that this is still the approach is same basically. So for those individuals as well. So that said, okay, I think we don't have much time, but we still have quite a bit to cover. So that said, we just go to connect window host. Now, for me, I have to I have to delete my Windows because of what is it called? I have to delete my Windows because of a bill. I want to get a surprise bill. Basically, I think I got one last month. So I have a VM that I set up in Oracle Cloud, and I'm just going to try to sign into it. Is signing in working in? So again, for those people that created on-premise VM, you can follow the guide into, you can do it for any Windows, regardless of where the window is set up, whether it's in Azure VM, if you still have your own, whether it is Oracle Cloud. For people that took the advice then that you can spin up a subscription in Oracle and use that to basically to do, I suspect that maybe my Oracle Cloud also has expired, but it's not saying anything. I just clicked login and nothing happened. So I think unfortunately I don't have any other VM at the moment that I can show that, so we just possibly just talk through it, except maybe that's also recover. So to okay, sorry, where is my celebration at the right place? Okay, so connect Windows host. A lot of times you have interest in certain servers and you may just want to bring the information, you may want to bring them over into, you may want to bring their logs basically over into Sentinel just because of the criticality of those assets. So the expectation of this module is after this module, you know how to connect Azure Windows Virtual Machine to Sentinel. You know how to connect non-Azure Windows host to Microsoft Sentinel. And you know how to configure log analytics agent to collect sysmon event. What? Yeah, to configure log analytics agent to collect sysmon events. Now, you have two Windows security events, content of solution options to stream event from Windows devices to Microsoft Sentinel. So the first option is to install the Windows Security Event Content Hub solution. You can then choose either of the two agents, basically Windows Security Event via AMA connector or Security Event via the Legacy Agent connector. And if you hear something like legacy, that means there is already something better which is already superseding it. And that by way is already telling you that this is probably the preferred option, and this may be phased out very soon. So the second option is to install window forwarded event content hub solution. Under the first one, you install the Windows Security Event Content Hub solution. So basically, if you go to Defender, if you go to Sentinel and you go to the Content Hub, and if you search, one way is for you to actually search for Windows security events, and then you can install it, and then you have option of using either of these two agents. But the recommended option, if you are following this option one, is also to choose this because this will be phased out soon. And then the second approach is for you to install Windows forwarded event content hub solution and configure a Windows event collector device to receive event from the Windows devices. So you understand earlier when I was talking about maybe when you have systems that are that don't all have access to the internet, and you do not want to give all of your system access to the internet. In that scenario, it might make sense for you to actually just give permission for one of your system to access the internet, and then you designate that as a window forwarded events collector, basically. So all of the devices will forward the event to the Windows event collector, and then the collector can forward the event to Microsoft Sentinel. So basically, to start with, for each of the option, you have the option to search for Windows security event or the Windows forwarded events in the content hub. So I'm just going to search for the first one only. Yeah, so basically you see the option and you see the, what's it called, the functionalities available. You see the Windows security event via AMA. You see the other option to use security event via legacy agent. And then you have some other hunting queries that are made available to you just by installing this. So for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to go ahead and click on install for this. Did I already click install? I already see in progress. I didn't know that I click install already. Okay. So it's already in progress. We just wait for it to finish the installation. Okay, it's installed successfully. And like before, so you see the option to reinstall or to delete, and here you can click on manage, and that takes you to the configuration page while that is trying to load. So those are the two options that we have. And then for the option of the Windows security event through AMA connector versus security event via legacy agent connector, the security event via AMA connector has the following difference from the via the legacy agent. The benefits: manage collection setting at scale, right? At scale, and do it for many systems. Azure monitoring agents shared with other solutions, performance improvement, security improvement, And just like I mentioned to you earlier, if you see legacy, you know that I mean it's time to pack it up already. And then limitations, there are no limitations in terms of requirements. It's suitable for non-Azure VMs or devices require non-Azure VMs or devices that require Azure Arc. I think we've spoken about Azure Arc a couple of times. I think also we use Azure Arc to onboard in one of our assignments. I think the second assignment to onboard system to the to onboard system to manage system in Azure, not really to onboard, but to make system available for management in Azure and also as part of the demo for Defender for Cloud. So in order to be able to use the Windows security event via the AMA connector, the Windows security event via the use data collection rule to define the data to collect from each agent. The data collection rules offer you distinct advantage. Manage collection settings at scale, which still allowing unique scope configuration for subsets of machine, basically, blah, blah, blah. Then build a custom filter to choose the exact event that you want to ingest. A lot of time, you don't want to go ahead and be you don't want to go ahead and collect all data collectible on systems. It's not all data that are useful. If you are familiar with Windows events, you have events like maybe you have some events that are not security related. You have some events that are just informational. They are just telling you maybe a system shutdown. Yeah, that can actually be a security event. But things like just telling you that what event can it be? Maybe that what event can it be? I'm trying to find one informational event that is not very useful. Okay, maybe you have events where the system just okay. I'm unfortunately not using Windows now to show. So, but basically, if you go into Windows events, you have some of them that are just informational and then they don't hold any bearing in terms of security. So there is no point collecting all of those. You can see that by default, some of them are already enabled, and those are the ones that are just showing you Windows system time change on host. Time changing on a system can be a problem. A lot of time where there are credential dumping, you see an interaction with LSASS database, LSASS dump. It's a serious problem, especially within the AD Cabarrus. So if you are interested in monitoring it, all of this should stay enabled. But you also have some which are currently showing caution mark, and that's oh sorry, these two are different, which are currently showing caution mark, and that's because you may not want to collect them by default. But if you are interested in actually configuring and collecting those events, basically you have the option to go into the configuration and enabling or reviewing the rules just to ensure that you have what you are looking for, and basically it's already being created for you. It's just to enable. And in terms of the rule, this is for ADFS as well. So it's for people who are using ADFS in their environment. If you don't have ADFS, there's no need for you to use it. And if you are also familiar, I think I keep mentioning what's it called? MITRE attack. Maybe I can create a session to just talk about MITRE attack. Or probably we stay next week. Maybe Saturday, I don't know if you can stay 30 minutes. I might just cover MITRE attack. So you can see also the MITRE attack technique that these events can help. I mean, the collection of this data can help you resolve if you basically actually collect that log as well. So in terms of connecting, you have to go to data connection, go to the connection page, and then look for Windows security events. Select the Windows security event via AMA connector from the list, and then select open connector page on the detail page. So verify that you have appropriate permission, and under configuration you can click add data collection rule. That's the page we just left, and then create a data collection rule wizard open. Under basic, enter a rule name, specify subscription and resource group where the data collection rules will be created, and then this doesn't have to be the same resource group or subscription that the monitor machine is part of. So in the resource tab, this is just the process, but because I don't have any system I'm going to run this against currently, I might actually look at the possibility of setting up a VM against Saudi when we meet. So you can test the validity of what you have created and see if you are able to get an event of your interest out, basically, and test that. So you can also connect with using events, I mean security event via the legacy agent as well. Via the legacy agent as well, you can connect using security event via the legacy agent connector, and also you can follow the same approach. The approach via the legacy agent connector is also very similar to what you have as to what you have in what's it called for the AMA connector. So if you want to collect for what's it called? If you want to collect for Azure virtual machines as well, you can follow it. When you're collecting, you use the Windows security event via the AMA. You can open the connector and just also configuration, create data, and just follow that process. For non-Azure machine, you have the option of just following exactly the same configuration and rule as well. And if you have for 6 months, you can also use that. I think I'm just going to allow you to read through it. Basically, I think it's straightforward. But against Saudi, I'll try as much as possible to demo the I'll try to, as much as possible against Saudi, to demo the collection for Windows for us, because I know that most organizations always have Windows machine, especially if you are working in a large and in a large enterprise. A lot of organizations will have VMs that are probably not even managed in Azure. Then you may want to be able to showcase that basically. You want to be able to showcase that. And after this, we also have the option of connecting to the Windows host, connecting to using the common event formats, and also connect syslog data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, and also connect threat indicators to Microsoft Sentinel. I think in order not to rush us, we'll probably start with this on what's it called? We'll probably start with this on Saturday, just for us to be able to demonstrate this, as I do not currently have a VM. I have to delete the VM that I thought I had just to save cost this evening when I noticed that my environment was disabled. So against Saturday, I will probably start from it, and I'll have a VM so that it's just not an academic more of, it's not, so that it won't be more of academic exercise. We can always have some hands-on, and after that we'll be able to we'll be able to also then continue with the rest of the class and probably give you assignments against Thursday. Thank you. Any question? Any clarity required anyway? Maybe things that I've spoken about today or maybe earlier in the program. I think we have like 12 minutes we can still use for conversation, even though I don't want to rush.